Presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, get ready to spend the next 2 hours with our three sports-loving ladies. Mia O'Brien, Lauren Brooks, and Taylor Dahl.
This is Helmets and Heels
on 1010XL.
Show me what you got, pretty lady.
Well, ladies, back at 1010XL headquarters today, reunited with RJ Saunders, and we're going to certainly talk some Jaguars football. But first, there is such big news in the world of college basketball, and it sounds like this.
This is going to get clipped later if you're not watching on YouTube.
This song, Boogie Shoes.
Trent Osborne, if you're listening, please go back and clip that because that's a meme. I knew where it was going, but I just wanted to watch Lauren dance alone in the studio while Taylor and I finish other work.
Boogie. I was like, I know his name's Boogie. Oh, now I get it.
Boogie Fland headed to Gainesville, the 5-star, the McDonald's All-American. He's going to play for Todd Golden, play next to Xavier Lee. And look, Florida just won the men's national championship in basketball. And Gators fans, I think as soon as the season ended, were like, oh no, what are we going to do next year? Because all the guys are gone and some of them might go into the NBA and you're already worried about it. And now at least you get to be much more excited about the roster that Todd Golden has created.
I think that here's the thing, Lauren. This is, and again, we don't know if this big Boogie Flan experiment's going to work in Gainesville because it, quite frankly, did not work in Arkansas to the level that Razorback fans were hoping for. Obviously, there was some injury to that, but certainly this idea of just because you get a 5-star recruit, a potential lottery pick, does that change your fortunes? That is certainly a roll of the dice every single time you recruit someone. But I think bigger picture why this is a victory for Florida Gator men's basketball fans today is that Todd Golden has now proven he can get to the mountaintop and then he can turn right back around and reload the roster with elite blue chip talent. That, I think, and Taylor, it's easier said than done. Well, because you're the national champs, who wouldn't want to go play with this team? But to Lauren's point, because you lose those 3 guards, yes, that creates opportunity for a guard like Boogie Flan, but it also creates a world in which, look, like you might not want to go there because could it be viewed as a rebuilding year, especially if Alex Condon was to stay and is to stay in the NBA draft process. And so I think it's look, every single one of these recruitment wins is a dart throw, but if nothing else, Todd Golden has proven he continues to recruit even after winning it all.
And I think one of the things that we've seen with Todd Golden is, and this is probably what players are seeing too, he's done such a good job, and not only the recruiting and not only when it comes to the portal and not only when you add development into that and some of the things that you've seen him bring out of players that you weren't expecting. And this year is kind of a testament to that. But also the way that he is able to manage his roster is really fun to watch because I feel like there were moments this season when injuries happen and you're like, how is he going to get through some of these injuries? Or when there's not injuries and there's a lot of guys and you're like, how do you get all of these guys on the court and get them mixed into a way where it's beneficial for everybody and you're not hurting another player or taking minutes where you feel like someone deserved? I don't know if there was ever a moment this year or into the postseason where you felt like Todd Golden looked like he didn't know exactly what he was doing every single game when it came to who needed to be on the court at the exact time.
And he's not worried about hurting people's feelings.
Yeah.
At the bottom line.
To the point of one of our Heeligans on the text line designed by Lifetime Enclosures, something that Taylor has fantasized about, but unfortunately I don't think it will be reality.
Chicago.
910 wants to know that it also shows staying power for the coach and the program. He's not going anywhere. He's not kicking his feet up and saying, I'm done recruiting. I've already got a natty.
Well, and the transfer portal, that's such a key part now of college sports in general, but especially college basketball because and college football too, but you are filling so few holes. And so even with those 3 guards, the trio of excellent guards that are leaving, he didn't want to go a freshman route and he wanted to go and get, now this is 2 different guys that he's got starting as far as that guard position. Look, I just want to start the show with that good news because I asked Mia to get it done on Friday and she delivered and Gators fans everywhere appreciate that. It is boogie time. We're going to be boogieing in Gainesville next season when it comes to Boogie Flan.
Can you
Hopefully things are good.
juxtapose anything more? And I don't know Xavion Lee yet, the Princeton transfer, but can you juxtapose anything more than Boogie Flan with a name like that, with all the lottery hype and McDonald's All-American coming from the John Calipari name on the back of the jersey, not the front of the jersey factory, with Xavion Lee coming from Princeton, where I believe he did earn his degree before he's leaving Princeton University, and coming the small school, if you may, Ivy League route to Gainesville, and now they're going to pair for one of the best backcourts in all of college basketball. Pretty iconic.
Yeah,
That's
I love
iconic, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, so the key with Todd Golden is certainly that talent evaluation and then the development.
Yeah.
So bringing it to Jacksonville, that's what we hope with this new administration, that James Gladstone and company have the eye for the talent evaluation, and that Liam Coen and company have the development, and you put those together and you have a team that's way better than what we're used to. Outside of a year here and a year there, for the most part, Jaguars football over the last 15 years has been atrocious, as we all know. So yesterday's OTA number one for people who had 10 wins like you did, Taylor, 11 wins like I did, 12 wins like ET. I feel like that OTA number one was, don't put too much into it by any means, but it was a little dose of reality of, all right, Trevor's going to throw a couple interceptions. Bashal Tootin on his first rep is going to fumble the football, and things aren't going to look as sunshine and roses as maybe we had hoped.
Yeah, and it's so early, and I know it's easy to start panicking because the thing is, it's issues you've had. It's those turnovers, and that's the last thing that you want to see right out of the gates, especially in a situation where you're not hitting each other. And so I do think that there should be cause for a little bit of concern because it's already been a problem when it comes to the interceptions thrown by Trevor, when it comes to the fumbles by this team. And so you don't really want to see that right out of the gates, but just kind of like we were talking about yesterday, there's a lot of newness on this offense. And we also talked about how the defense is already, for pretty much every team in the league, a little bit ahead already when you're coming straight into the OTAs. When OTAs are getting started, you always talk about the defense is a little bit of ahead, but you also just talk about all of the new pieces that we're talking about offensively, and Trevor coming off of an injury. He hasn't played a game in a long time.
He hadn't thrown the football until a few weeks ago. He hadn't thrown the football in over 3 months.
Yeah, so I do think it's going to be kind of a gradual progression of what we're seeing from this offense, but I think it's also a good thing that they're getting tested early, and we're seeing some of these guys like a Darnell Savage and Josh Hines-Allen, and some of these guys come out right away. Who was the other one? Jarian, come out and get some of these turnovers and forced turnovers, because you also want to see your defense doing those things, because that was something that was lacking last year defensively.
That's what's kind of funny is Liam Coen post the practice is like, as a head coach, this is new for me. I came from the offensive side of the ball only, where you don't want the defense doing anything good. You want the offense to shine every single practice. And now I have to remember, it's a good thing too. If
good
the defense,
Jarian. No, Trevor.
Right, exactly. and maybe Darnell Savage was kind of trying to say to everybody, hey, I'm still in the safety room. Don't completely forget about me. I have no idea if Baker Mayfield threw any interceptions when the Bucs started OTAs last year, but I do know this. It wasn't a storyline when it came to the regular season whatsoever, because Baker, certainly the run game and those pass catchers did very well.
And much like Trevor Lawrence, I feel like Baker and interceptions have become synonymous at different points in his career. So, it happens. And the fact that I saw more than one of you Heeligans on Twitter saying, why are we overanalyzing OTAs? I'm glad you see it my way.
Yeah, until the pads go on, there's just so little that you can evaluate as far as the physical side of football. You can't evaluate speed, right?
Yeah.
You can see the agility from some of those guys out there, whether it's the playmakers on offense or defense. You can certainly see if someone's gained some weight, whether that's good weight, or if they show up out of shape. I don't think any of these guys have shown up out of shape, which is good news. But you can't evaluate a football team as a whole until we get into training camp. And we did learn that the Jaguars, when they head down to Miami for ahead of the third preseason game, will have the joint practices against the Dolphins. So I think you'll learn a little bit more there.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that you want to see, the hands of players. You don't want to see a lot of drops. That's something you don't want to see, because that is one thing that you can maybe raise a little bit of a flag about, because especially if they're not contested, you just have to catch the ball.
Unless
and
you
you're
blame it
going
on the
to
quarterback.
catch every now and then. And if the ball's overthrown, there's going to be those certain things. But if balls are hitting hands and dropping, then there's a little bit of concern in that. And those are things that's what OTAs are fixing all of those logistically kind of back to the core of football things. things.
Right. And Trevor Lawrence talked about the fact that he's had to change his stance as he drops back in the pocket. And Grant Udinsky said that it's a growth mindset that they're bringing to this. They are not expecting the players to be perfect. Trevor Lawrence even admitted, I sailed the ball to Travis Hunter. Like that's not, and that's not even considered a drop if it's not anywhere near the receiver.
Yeah.
But when it does hit a player's hands, is that more because they're just not, do they not have the chemistry yet that they should?
Yeah.
They just got out there.
Yeah.
So relax a little bit. By the way, congrats to JU Baseball. They, to open up the ASUN baseball tournament, just beat North Alabama 5-1.
Nice.
That's right. Round of applause. Congrats to Coach.
Glad they got that game
Chris
before
Haynes.
middle of the day, too.
Yes, I tend to agree with that. They certainly did. And so they got that win. And then at 11:30 is when the original start time was supposed to be Austin P UNF. My guess is that game will be pushed back just a little bit. Based off of timing, or maybe that's supposed to be 12:30 because of Central. I don't know.
I was going to say they're in
They're in
Florence.
DeLand.
They're in DeLand.
They're in DeLand, but when you look at the schedule, it shows it in Central Time. So make that make sense to me.
Interesting.
Yeah, good luck with that. But either way, we'll keep you updated on all the baseball. It was an interesting River City Rumble over the weekend, baseball edition, Mia, because you had JU win 15-4, UNF win 15-4 on Thursday. JU turn around and win 15-4 on Friday, and then I believe UNF won 2-1 was the final score on Saturday, but really back and forth.
And for JU, I mean, the fact that they win it in 7 innings in dominating fashion, 15-4 on Saturday, but also, or Friday, excuse me, because they started the series on Thursday. But we have to remember, too, that for JU, snapping a 6-game losing streak must have felt cathartic after working their way into multiple mid-major polls. They lose, they lose the regular season finale. They lose the River City Rumble series finale. But again, this was one of the, I'd argue, probably top 4 or 5 we capped it at last week, Lauren, teams in the ASUN collectively big picture throughout the course of the season in the ASUN. So, for Chris Hayes and the crew, hopefully that was just enough to get them back on track headed into the postseason.
Yeah, I said UNF won 2-1 on Saturday. It was 8-1. It must have, the last time I had looked, it must have been 2-1. And then
they went off.
Ospreys bats got hot. All right, we've got more to do Jaguars-wise. Mia caught up with new Jaguars tight end Hunter Long. You will hear that interview on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 10 to Nix on 92.5 FM.
Play-by-play sports just sounds better on radio. For high school, college, and pro sports play-by-play, turn on 1010XL.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, call Sam, Harry, or Joe at AA Automotive on Richard Street. From oil changes to complex engine repairs, AA Automotive promises expert service and honest pricing from a local family biz. AA Automotive on Richard Street.
The joys of home ownership. Until the plumbing backs up, the AC goes out, or your septic system decides to act up. The good news? You don't have to call 3 different companies when things go wrong. Just call my friends at Duck Duck Rooter. They're your one-stop shop for plumbing, septic, and air conditioning, all under one roof. Whether it's a leak, a clog, or your system just won't cool, they have you covered. Don't take my word for it. Check out their 5-star reviews on Google. Although, Duck Duck AC saved me more than once over the last few years. From the moment you call to the moment the tech solves your issue, you will receive first-class service every step of the way. Give them a call at 904-862-6769 or visit duckduckrooter.com. Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. One call does it all.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home this week at the newly renovated 5-Star Ballpark. The Jumbo Shrimp take on the AAA St. Louis Cardinals. Purr in the Park tonight, followed by Wear at Home Wednesday t-shirt giveaway, presented by Renewal by Anderson and Better Health. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family fun.
Where does Northeast Florida buy cars? Arlington Toyota. Why Arlington? Selection. Mia here. Arlington has over 800 new and used vehicles all in one location with everyday low prices. Over 350 SUVs in one location. Over 175 trucks in one location. Over 275 cars, one location. And guess what? There's more on the way. Here's 60 more reasons. Arling's 60-day exchange program. So simple. If you don't like your purchase, bring it back within 60 days and exchange it for another one. And here's even more reasons why, like $0 down and just $288 per month for a pre-owned 2023 Toyota Corolla. You can even choose no payments till January 2026. That's right, no payments until January 2026 at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned. Now you know why you need to buy from Arlington. Shop in person on Atlantic Boulevard, just a quarter-mile east of 295, or online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
Skilled trade jobs are booming, so begin your high-pay, high-demand career today through the Northeast Florida Builders Association. Their apprenticeship program provides paid training in some of the most highly sought-after skilled trades. Get paid while you train, full-time, in carpentry, electrical, HVAC, or plumbing. Plus, earn a 10% raise every year, and the classes are 100% tuition-free. Start your new career today and apply this week at nefpaapprenticeship.org.
Keeping kids active is a full-time job for parents. Look no further, though, than I-9 Sports, covering Duval, St. John's, and Clay to get your youngster in the game. Spring and summer registration open right now for flag football, soccer, t-ball, and basketball. Plus, all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. I-9 Sports with fields and gyms all over 3 counties. And the best thing is I-9 Sports offers sports year-round so kids can always find a sport to play. i9sports.com. Enter 1010 in the promo code.
This is Greg Huntington, a.k.a. The Mangler. I'm on the winning team at Waste Management. WM is the largest sustainability company in North America. If your business needs sustainable environmental services for waste removal and recycling collection, then you can count on the industry leader of WM to deliver results. Your services will be completed in a timely, safe, and eco-friendly manner. Go to WM.com/Duval. That's WM.com/Duval and get signed up today. If anyone can talk trash, it's the Mangler.
What's the weekend in sports look like? I'm 1010XL's Dan Hicken, and I'll give you my takes and weekend updates on YouTube and Facebook. Musings with the media mogul. That's right, motivated by Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach.
Join us at Miller Electric May 29th from 4 to 7 p.m. We're on the lookout for talented people, from entry-level to experienced electricians and foremen, security system installation and service technicians, fire alarm system service technicians, and both senior and junior VDV technicians. This is your chance to get hired on the spot. Meet the managers, indulge in delicious food, and snag some awesome giveaways. Don't miss out on this electrifying chance to power up your career. Miller Electric, May 29th, 4 to 7 p.m., 6805 South Point Parkway.
Get this. Joey and me were supposed to go to this concert next week, right? But then something terrible happened. Joey was driving without a seatbelt. But he didn't wreck. No, he got pulled over. Now Joey has to pay for a seatbelt ticket instead of a concert ticket, and I have to go by myself. How lame is that? So Joey, if you're out there, you're an idiot. Wear your seatbelt or you'll get a ticket.
All across the country, cops are cracking down. Click it or ticket, day and night.
Funded by the Florida Department of Transportation.
I've been having knee problems for probably 6 months, and my knee was getting worse, and I had heard about Southeast Orthopedics on the radio, and I gave them a call. They got me right in. Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. It was painless, and it's been doing fantastic. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coating, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Daddy's truck, daddy's bottle, open top, open throttle.
This is from Morgan Wallen's new album. This is the collaboration he has with Eric Church. Number 7 and number 3, I think is the name of it. All the songs are really good, but I love especially those collaborations. All right, Mia, you caught up with Jaguars tight end Hunter Long. I'm guessing we have no idea if he's a Morgan Wallen fan.
We don't know that, but we did learn a whole heck of a lot about Hunter. This interview went probably the longest of any of our one-on-ones yesterday. Actually, not probably, it was. Hunter had a lot to say, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy him here in Duval County. Pleased to be joined with one of the newest Jaguar tight ends. There's a couple of you new tight ends, though, in Hunter Long. Hunter, thanks so much for taking the time. OTA number 1 in the book. Yeah. So what's the biggest takeaway?
Just out here working. You know, the whole team's grinding, trying to change the culture, try to create our culture as a new team. You know, every year, every team is new pieces coming in, and just try to bond as a unit as fast as possible and build this thing together. You know, this was. We've been out here for a couple weeks, but OTA won. Finally play some real football, and just try to build this thing from the ground up the way we want to build it.
Give us the elevator pitch, if you may, the abbreviated history of Hunter Long. How do you end up here in Jacksonville? Where are you from? Obviously Boston College. Yep. How do you end up here in Duval?
Yeah, I'm from Exeter, New Hampshire. Not many people know where New Hampshire is on a map.
I do. I've got good news. Maybe we'll have to put that in. You're superimposed on the video.
Yeah, we might have to show everyone where that's at. From Exeter, born and raised in Exeter, 4 years public school. Did a 5th year of high school at Deerfield Academy. Got Power 5. BC was my only Power 5 offer. Went to BC. Got drafted to Miami. Traded to LA Rams, and got signed here. So I've traversed the country a couple of times, but it's been good. I can't complain, and wouldn't change the journey for anything.
And because of that Miami and LA time, you probably are a little familiar with this heat.
I'm a little used to it. When I first got to Miami, I was not coming from New Hampshire. New world to me. I gotta get a little readjusted again. LA is not quite like this, but it's not too bad, hopefully.
When you came into the National Football League, what was the sales pitch? Because I remember you going through the pre-draft process. You were one of my more intriguing prospects when I was going through the mock drafts and everything else. What was the sales pitch? What type of tight end did you believe you could be? Maybe how has that evolved during your time in the National Football League?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved. I mean, in college, I was more receiving tight end. Came into the league and trying to find my footing, and battled some injuries and whatnot, and game's definitely evolved. Blocking's definitely improved. And really now I just try to be an all-around tight end, try to be the best tight end I can be, try to work on my weaknesses and whatever those may be and attack those and keep building on the strengths and, try to be as well-rounded as I can and fit in wherever I need.
How did your game change? How did your career change when you went to Los Angeles?
Yeah, just grateful to have a shot to be on the field. Obviously got hurt my first year out there for a good portion of the year, but this last year was a really changed my trajectory in terms of the way how I treated the process and treated my body and attacked my work and kind of the mindset that I brought to it. So no one ever wants to get hurt, but I would say the injuries kind of taught me a lot about myself and taught me kind of the right way to do things, and stayed healthy last year and had a solid year and just try to build on that. Do whatever I can to build on what I did last year and keep it moving forward.
A lot's been made that they're building the Rams East here in Jacksonville. Because you've been there, what similarities, I know obviously this is just the first day really on the field, what similarities do you see perhaps in how this thing is being built here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, scheme-wise, it's similar, and which is great for me, being used to the system and kind of being able to just plug in here and understand the terminology and stuff like that. But we're really just trying to build our own identity. Build the Jags of 2025, and which is all the things that we preach in terms of toughness, speed, flying around the field, being a unit. All those things play into it, and just how can we build our own identity? The schemes may be the same, but we're trying to do us here.
Did you have any interaction with James Gladstone while you were in LA?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I saw him around the building. Great dude, and I think he's doing a hell of a job, and excited for this year.
Why Jacksonville? Why was this the destination?
That's a great question. A lot played into it. Opportunity. Coaching staff, scheme, warm weather's a nice plus. But it all played into it, and I couldn't be more excited to be here, and it worked out kind of just how you'd want it to.
Sean McVay, we'll put him, he's kind of in his own category. Yeah. What have you seen from Liam? What have you seen from Grant running a similar style that maybe that personality was a good match for you? Yeah, Sean and all those guys out there obviously are great coaches. I loved my time out there with them, and they're awesome. I think Liam and the guys are, they're doing great too. Trying to find their own way and implement how they want this to go and lead this team the way they want to lead it. And there's a lot of people here in new positions, but they've done great so far, and really leading this team and trying to
show this team, what we can be and what we are striving to be every day. And it's been fun to be here working.
2 more for me, one on the field, one off the field, because I know it's hot out here. The tight end room for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What do you want people to know about this room that obviously was headlined by Evan Ingram for the last few years? Brenton was a part of it the last 2 years as well. What do you want folks to know about this group?
Yeah, I'm coming into a room that there's some pieces that were here from the past and some new pieces, and like I've been saying, we're just trying to build our own identity. Build the 2025 Jags tight end room. Tough, fast, smart. All the things you want out of a tight end, and every day come here and try to show that on the field as a unit and build together.
So I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
I have appreciated that you have a head coach who's from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
You've got a DC who's from New Jersey. You got an OC who's from Pennsylvania. I would assume, though, you're a Boston sports fan.
Yes, I am. Is this going to the Celtics?
This is just going towards what sort of fun banter has occurred between all of the Northeast professional sports fans, now members of the Jaguars.
Yeah, there's definitely been some banter. It was an unfortunate ending to the series. I'm not the biggest Celtics fan, but Celtics playoff time, it's fun to watch. There's definitely been some banter. It was a tough finish for the boys. But look at them next year.
If you weren't playing football, what would be the other sport?
If I wasn't playing football, other sport. Do I have to be good at it right now?
No. Like, what is your other, besides, Foye loves watching basketball. What is your other sport?
If I could be great at another sport and I'm not great now, golf. 1,000%. And I am as mediocre gets right now. But if I could be great at it, I would love that.
Well, the good news, Hunter, is you are in the right place. You are in the golf.
I'm not quitting my day job to start golfing.
You are in the golf capital of the world. I suggest going out and finding one young Cameron Little. He will make sure that you're taken care of.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick to my day job on the football field and sprinkle the golf in and continue to be bad at it. So
good place for it, Hunter. Thanks so much.
Of course, thank you.
Did it live up to the hype?
It did. I think he's got a lot of personality, and a lot of times people overlook those 2 guys in Hunter Long and Jenny Munt because people just put them in that blocking tight end category. But you just heard him say, when he was at Boston College, he was a pass-catching tight end. So there's that versatility that the Jaguars staff wants. And I feel like New Hampshire is one of the easier ones to get.
But Vermont or New Hampshire, I'm editing it for social. Don't worry, folks. We're going to get a nice, funny clip on our 10XL social media channels later.
Doesn't it go Maine? Kind of general vicinity, but I would not be able to tell you
which one is New Hampshire, which one is Vermont.
No idea.
Okay, so Maine, the one right below Maine on the left is Vermont. The one on the right is New Hampshire?
Correct, because as you're saying that out loud, I'm realizing I definitely did the wrong one in editing. It has not been posted yet to the 1010XL social channels, but I definitely had the wrong one. So, so that tells you all you need to know about my geography skills, I suppose. But no, coming out of Boston College,
teamwork makes the dream work.
I wasn't kidding when I said, I really did like in that 2020 class, I really did like Hunter Long as a potential inline, potential guy who could flex out, grow as a receiving tight end, sort of in that George Kittle mold of sorts. Not to put a lofty expectation on him, but at 6'5", 254 coming out of school and having covered George myself when he was at Iowa and the expectations that were unfairly placed upon him coming into the National Football League despite running the NFL Combine record in the 40-yard dash for a tight end. I kind of got those same vibes from Hunter Long. And look, ultimately, when you look at his stats, they're not terribly gaudy until his final season of college when he had 57 catches for 685 yards and 5 scores, 9 touchdowns over 3 seasons on the field at BC. Ultimately, though, those stats are similar to what I saw from George. The measurables are similar, how they used him at BC. I'm not sure if he was the best fit, perhaps, for the Dolphins to initially land there, and certainly the turmoil that they went through in 2020, 2021 while he was a member of that team with Brian Flores and kind of a revolving door of sorts, then to go to LA, a team that Sean McVay, as we saw through the selection of Terrence Ferguson in the second round of this past April's NFL draft, they've been trying to find the right tight end to really be a focal point of their system, and they haven't found that guy yet. So
they looked at Brock Bowers, as we all know.
They looked at Brock Bowers, and certainly Gerald Everett found a lot of success in LA with Sean McVay, but was not the focal point of the offense. And not that Hunter Long was traded for with that idea, but I think, again, if he's a strong number 2 behind someone who is a focal point, and if Brenton Strange is to be that focal point at the tight end position of this offense, I think that there is a high floor there for him to be equally as effective in the receiving game, if healthy, as he is as a blocker.
Yeah, I need to see it. I feel like we're heading into year 5 of that, and you haven't seen it at all. Year 2 of Kittle, he had 1,300 yards. So he pretty much hit the ground running in the NFL, and you saw it right away. He could be that receiving threat. Even last year or the last couple years on a Rams offense, you just really didn't see that much out of him. Part of that is he was kind of buried in that depth chart, too. And when Colby Parkinson was their starter last year, and then when Higbee came out, he got bumped to like tight end 4. So he was definitely deep in there. But you see a lot of the other abilities. I kind of joked when one of the signings, the last tight end signing, I can't even remember what it was because I think I was on vacation, but I was like,
Quentin Morris.
Yeah. And I was like, well, we have a whole offensive line of blocking tight ends if we needed that. But I just need to see it a little bit more. I like his confidence in saying that, this was kind of what I was in college. Just haven't seen that transfer to the NFL, which we do see that sometimes. It just doesn't transfer. But I am interested to see how Liam Coen evaluates that and does use him, because obviously there's something that Gladstone saw in LA that he liked, that he wanted to bring over here. And I don't quite know. You didn't see the receiving side in LA. So to me, Gladstone saw the blocking ability. He had a blocked punt at one point for a touchdown. I think Gladstone maybe sees some more of that stuff in him, and that's why he brought him personally. But we'll see. I would love if Liam Coen could fit him in a little bit more, because right now the tight end room is a little concerning for me outside of Strange.
Yeah, I feel like when you're going to talk to these players, Mia, and great job on the interview, especially because we all know it was hot out there. I feel like everyone is going to mention the culture, like because not even he's new to Jacksonville, right? Like he wasn't here.
He doesn't even know what it was.
Correct. The last few years, like under the previous regime. But I feel like all these guys are going to mention culture, and I feel like Liam Coen. And again, this is early in the building process, but it feels like the culture energetic. Obviously, the guys with speed, physicality for sure, but that we want to be here. We want to be working hard together. That's the vibe that I'm getting so far.
Yeah, and I think the fact that, there's going to be those of you listening, and you're going to say, well, that's, of course, what they're going to talk about because it's May, and it's a new regime, and everything is sunshine and rainbows. But I think that the important note to take away from it is when you hear these different interviews, when you hear Liam Coen and then Trevor Lawrence at the podium, since the Jaguars' wonderful in-house team is live streaming that, is it a consistent message throughout? Because if it is, and it's not just lip service and it's not cliches, even if it does come off as cliche, then that says to me that they are articulating what they want to be. And you heard Hunter Long reference the fast word that Liam Coen has used, that is what they want to be. Tough, speed, all those words that make up that acronym. And the fact that it is the default answer, I think, suggests, Taylor, that when it comes to the classroom setting, this is what the players are being told and taught, and this is what they are regurgitating, and that says that it's one cohesive message as opposed to just throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something that's needed to happen for a long time, and we've talked about it before. It brings me back to some of the feelings early of last year when we were saying it just felt like there was a lot of issues with no solutions, and I feel like already coming into OTAs, these coaches are coming in, and they don't even know all of the issues because they weren't here last year. They're just kind of guessing from what they've seen in film, and they're kind of revamped a lot of the roster and then now added some pieces, and now they're just trying to kind of fit all the puzzle pieces together and figure out what needs the most help, how much of it was coaching, how much of it was player, how much of it injury factored in. All of those things they're trying to figure out now, but I like that they came in with what already seems like a mindset and just this whole, we're going to talk about that culture word a lot, but just everything, a plan already. It just felt like there hasn't been a plan here in a while.
Mike Vrabel was quoted after practice as saying, like, why the bleep would I worry about what happened last season? I feel like this group isn't going to be quite as abrasive as that because he's been a head coach in the NFL before, so he's got a little bit more of a resume. But I kind of feel like that's how this group is kind of looking at it too. Like, we don't care what happened last year. We have to focus on winning games in September, October, November, December, obviously, not just September. All right, I want to get it to college football on the other side and discuss some quarterbacking. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
It begins with a dream.
Cinderella Story, a former greenskeeper now about to become the Masters champion. It looks like I'm a wreck. It's in the hole!
1010XL.
It's in the hole!
92.5 FM.
Are you ready to step up to luxury? Check out the power of our exciting 2025 lineup, including the Lyric, IQ, Optique, and the stunning Visti. With over 15 electric Cadillacs in stock and more on the way, it's the perfect time to trade in your Tesla and embrace luxury with a twist. At Randy Marion, there are no tariffs. Visit Randy Marion Cadillac on Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville, and see why our electric lineup turns heads.
Don't miss out. Drive Cadillac.
electric or gas. We have both. Plus tax tag title $9.99 admin fee and resist all on approved credit.
From humble origins on Beach Boulevard to the grandeur of the old homestead, Takaloo has bucked the odds, selling cheap tacos and even cheaper beers since 2008. I'll be the first to lament that nothing is cheap anymore, but much has not changed in 17 years. Bangin' Shrimp still rocks, margaritas flow day and night, and we love to see old friends and make new friends every day. You can still spin the wheel or sit outside on the patio in the sun with friends and family. It's been a ton of fun, and we have you, Jacksonville, to thank for 17 years. Takaloo in Jacksonville Beach.
It's Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacks Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacks Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
For the greenest, luscious lawn on the block, choose the local legends, Roundtree Sod. Don't just settle for ordinary. Let Roundtree Sod deliver you a picture-perfect lawn. To get a free estimate, call 7414-SOD. 7414-SOD.
Frank Frangie here. I was talking to a buddy the other day. His HOA told him his old fence had to go. I said, man, call Coil Fencing. They've been around the block since 1927. Heck, they probably built half the fences in Jacksonville. They do it all. Tough chain link for security, those fancy aluminum ones the HOA actually likes, nearly a century of keeping yards safe and looking good. If you need a fence, call Coil. You can trust the folks at Coil. 904-356-4821 or visit CoilJacks.com, COYLE Jacks.com.
This Day in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On May 20th, 1991, Michael Jordan of the Chicago Bulls was named the NBA's MVP for the second time in his career. That same year, Jordan led the Bulls to their first NBA championship.
Hey, poker players. The Poker Atlas Tour is back at Best Bet St. Augustine from June 5th to June 15th. The Poker Atlas Tour features 7 events, including Event 1, a $300 no-limit hold'em tournament with a $100,000 guarantee, and the $600 no-limit hold'em title event with a $200,000 guaranteed prize pool. Satellites start May 17th. For more details, visit bestbetjacks.com. That's bestbetjacks.com.
If golf is your thing, you'll want to check out the 2025 Hills Pass at Hidden Hills Golf Club. Unlimited golf, including golf car, and preferred tee times for just one low price. Visit us at hiddenhillsgc.com to purchase your Hills Pass today.
Are your monthly bills keeping you up at night, wondering how you got so behind? Hey, I'm Roger Moore, CEO of Loan Pronto. I get it. Life is expensive now. Insurance, groceries, cars. And then there's the credit card debt with those obscene interest rates. It's time to regain your financial freedom. And that's what we offer at Loan Pronto, using the power of the equity in your home. We have multiple ways to get you the cash you need, and most clients close in 2 weeks or less, and many don't even require an appraisal. And listen, rates have been plummeting recently. We just locked a homeowner in with an APR in the low 5s, saving her over $1,000 per month, and put $10,000 in her pocket. Life-changing money. Whether you're drowning in debt, have a nosebleed rate you got last year, need home improvements, or simply need cash in your pocket, we can help you accomplish this goal in record time. Call us today and get started with no hard credit pull, just a conversation. LoanPronto.com, 904-999-1508. LoanPronto.com. That's LoanPronto.com.
Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
As a contractor, finding reliable subcontractors is key to project success. Prosser here. Guys, that's where Lloyd's Heating and Air shines. Not just your mechanical HVAC experts, but your partner, understanding every facet of construction to keep your project on track. Lloyd's will spot issues early before they cause delays. If you're a contractor with a need for reliability, visit LloydsHeatingandAir.com. Lloyd's Heating and Air, keeping you comfortable in every season.
Neck pain, back pain, or headache, Shinatri Chiropractic has 4 locations: Westside, 103rd, Riverside, Arlington, and the Beaches. Acupuncture, dry needling, physical therapy. Relief starts today. Shinatri Chiropractic, 743-6700.
Listen all day as 1010XL gives you news, notes, and analysis of organized team activities as they get ready for the upcoming season. Our coverage of OTAs is hoisted by Heroes Lawn Care and Hurricane Grill and Wings.
3
Reclaim a pain-free life with Rebound Rehab. If you've been injured or simply feeling the effects of an active life, you can rely on Rebound Rehabilitation to get you back in the game. Sitting on the sidelines isn't any fun. Trust Rebound Rehab's team of trained physical therapists to get you back up to speed and feeling full again. Now more convenient than ever. 11 locations to serve you, including new offices in Riverside across from St. Vincent's, Point Meadows, and Middleburg. Just log on to reboundrehab.com to see all they've got to offer.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you. The gang is back together. By the way, that Austin P UNF game is just about to get underway. They're in DeLand, so it was 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. Just pay attention to Eastern or Central. Not sure why both are listed on the ASUN website, but that's neither here nor there. I want to get it to college football, ladies. I started to think about the transfer quarterbacks in the SEC and the non-transfer quarterbacks in the SEC. It's literally split right down the middle. There are 8 teams with transfer quarterbacks and 8 teams with homegrown quarterbacks that obviously started their career there, and we'll see if they finish their career there. But for the here and now, they're homegrown quarterbacks. I want y'all to tell me which group, whether it's going to be the transfers or the homegrowns, you think will be better. But first, I'll go through the
Homegrowns.
8. I think that's where we'll land, but we'll go through it. Okay, so at Auburn, and these are, of course, projected likely starters. We don't know for sure that these guys will be starting week 1, but likely starters. Auburn, you have Jackson Arnold, who transferred from Oklahoma. Kentucky, you have Zach Calzada, who was at Incarnate Word, then Auburn, then Texas A&M, obviously now, like I said, at Kentucky. Arkansas, you have Talon Green, who transferred from Boise State. Oklahoma, John Mateer, who transferred from Washington State. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia from New Mexico State and New Mexico Military Institute, and then New Mexico State.
Don't you forget that JUCO life.
Exactly. Missouri, you have Bo Pribula, who was the backup the last few years at Penn State. Mississippi State, you have Blake Shapen from Baylor. And Tennessee, of course, our favorite, Joey Aguilar, who transferred from App State, but before that was at Diablo Valley. I have to be honest, I have never once heard of Diablo Valley in my life. All right, so those are the 8 schools with transfer quarterbacks. Here are the 8 schools with homegrown quarterbacks. Florida with DJ Lagway, Texas with Arch Manning, LSU Garrett Nussmeier, Texas A&M Marcel Reed, South Carolina Lenore Sellers, Ole Miss Austin Simmons, Alabama Ty Simpson if he wins the job, and Georgia Gunnar Stockton. It's not even close, is it? At least on paper?
I think the top 4, if you're talking about the top quarterbacks in the SEC, if you were to list the top 4, they're all the homegrown guys. I do think you can mix in a few.
John Mateer is expected to do a lot, and certainly we saw what Diego Pavia could do.
Yeah, and that's what there's a few that I would mix in that group, probably right behind, put them at that maybe 4th, but probably 5th, 6th quarterback. But because I was kind of scrolling through just to earlier trying to figure out who was supposed to be starting and what's going on with there, because in Arkansas, some places have the Talon Green kid starting who's been there, but they're saying it's kind of his job to lose at this point. And so this is projections, obviously, of what it's going to look like. But I do think when you look at who, number one, some of the best teams that we're talking about in the SEC, they all are the homegrown quarterbacks. And it's also the homegrown quarterbacks that we're going to be talking about potentially being the best. But there's a couple I would mix in that I'm obviously rooting for Aguilar. I think that also in the environment that he's been sent to in Tennessee, it's going to benefit him a lot. So we could be talking about him as one of the better ones in the SEC too.
I think a big reason why your sentiment is it's the homegrown guys who are the upper echelon of quarterbacks in the SEC, Lauren, is because we have a rare, and I don't want to anoint it too early, but we have a very rare class of 2026, class of 2027 quarterback crop across the country, not just in the SEC. And that, I believe, is where this conversation is ultimately stemming from. Because, look, I mean, ultimately, I think that there's a world in which either Lenora Sellers, Arch Manning, DJ Lagway, Gunnar Stockton, one of those guys is going to transfer again, not succeed here in the fall of 2025 and be elsewhere. But as of this writing right now, the bigger conversation is, oh my goodness, look at these 2 classes of quarterbacks. Look how good they are. And they, right now, because they are either a redshirt sophomore, true junior, there is a chance that they are going to strike the iron while it's hot then go to the league here in the next year or two and ultimately only play at one institution. But I could see it backfiring in any of those 4 locales.
And I also think it's easy when you've seen the player playing with that team, because you've already seen with the DJ Lagway, obviously. We've seen DJ Lagway in this environment already and how he's progressed through with Billy Napier and the Gators. And then you've been able to see Garrett Nussmeier now at LSU and what he's been able to do there. So it is also easier if it's a new transfer. It's hard to predict what they're going to be at that school. You're kind of playing a guessing game of what they've done at the previous school, meshing that in with the new coach and new pieces around them. If you've seen them play there, it is a little bit easier. But even aside from that, one of the rankings that popped up, 24/7 Sports did their rankings of the SEC quarterbacks, and they have I'll just go through them real quick, because they had number 1 Garrett Nussmeier, they had number 2 Arch Manning, they had number 3 Lenora Sellers, they had number 4 Lagway, they had 5 John Mateer at Oklahoma. They had Pavia at 6. Then they had 7 Austin Simmons at Ole Miss, Taylor Green 8 at Arkansas, Jackson Arnold at Auburn, number 9 Ty Simpson at Alabama.
Which is crazy to think that an Alabama quarterback would be
that far down. But I would like to introduce another Alabama quarterback into this conversation. Sure. It's not to throw a wet towel on it, but going into year 3 of Jalen Hurts, at that time, one institution at Alabama, he was regarded as one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Spencer Rattler, going into technically his redshirt sophomore year, was projected to be the number 1 overall pick at Oklahoma. And then he got beat out by Caleb Williams midway through the season for the starting job, transfers to South Carolina, and ends up spending 5 years in college. And so my point is that because these young players have gotten on the field early and have found success early, and because we believe they may go to the league either this upcoming season or the following season, and we're expecting big things from them this fall, that is why the list currently reflects, oh man, the homegrown talent is the elite talent.
I just wonder if we get excited about the shiny new toy in some college fan bases. Like, for instance, Miami, obviously with Cam Ward, things really worked out for them. At Carson Beck, now they have, of course, transferring from Georgia. And we get excited about that. Fan bases get so excited about it. But is it better really in the end to bring that quarterback in as a freshman out of high school and develop them, have them sit for a little bit? Certainly most of the guys that we're talking about had to sit behind other quarterbacks as far as the homegrown guys. Lenora Sellers didn't. But most of the time they sit for a year or so. But they're in the same system. They have the same offensive coordinator or head coach if they're the play caller. And so it gives them a little bit more time to develop, of course, and it gives them time to know the weapons around them, too, even though, yes, there are guys brought in from the transfer portal. But I just wonder if the environment ends up being better. And so maybe we shouldn't focus as much on those transfer quarterbacks as being the saviors of a team.
And it's a similar sentiment to the NFL and why we have those same conversations of the quarterbacks who have failed and how much of it was being thrown into having to start right away. A bad environment, but starting right away. When you have a Patrick Mahomes who got to sit behind Alex Smith and kind of learn everything and not get rushed into any process of that next level, it helps them at the NFL level. So if it's helping the NFL level guys, then it's definitely going to help the guys who are 18, 19, 20, 21 years old. And I do think that it's something we've seen in the last few years, that these guys that have kind of waited their turn and been able to be a little patient, and it kind of sucks for them sometimes. And the Alabama situation this year, to your point, Mia, will be interesting because right now they have Ty Simpson, and they said he kind of barely beat out that Washington transfer, Austin Mack. What if it doesn't work out and they throw Austin Mack in there, and then you're talking about a transfer quarterback in week 3?
Sidebar. Watching Tyler Buckner play lacrosse for Notre Dame the last 2 weeks has been the weirdest thing to wrap my head around. I'm like, you didn't even play lacrosse 5 minutes ago. You were the quarterback at Alabama. I digress. Continue, Lauren.
Well, and the quarterback at Notre Dame. Yeah, the quarterback at Notre Dame. I want to say around the first weekend of November, right around the time that we get back from Vegas, just putting that out there in the universe. But I want to have the conversation then and look at the 8 transfer quarterbacks, assuming that it plays out the way that we're projecting in May, and the 8 homegrown quarterbacks, and see which group of guys collectively has done better
season.
Yeah, and because it could be that, again, on paper, what if Arch Manning isn't what we think he is? He obviously hasn't had nearly as much playing time because they had Quinn Ewers ahead of him. DJ Lagway, Graham Mertz was there a lot last season, and then of course he got hurt too. Like the list, I can go through it and explain why certain guys haven't gotten the playing time yet. Austin Simmons at Ole Miss, of course, there was a guy named Jackson Dart ahead of him. But these guys might just be better on paper in theory because also like you said, we've seen them in their systems.
We're familiar.
Yeah, and the other guys, Diego Pavia may end up being the best quarterback of this entire group based off of the experience that he has.
On this list, they have, which I'm interested to see your thoughts on this, because we talked about Alabama, obviously, with Ty Simpson right now being at 10. At number 12, they have Gunnar Stockton.
Right, which there's at least one hooligan out there who texted in and said that Gunnar could still be the best of the bunch.
Absolutely, he could be.
Because ultimately, he was a pretty darn good high school quarterback, broke all of Trevor's records.
And he's more athletic than Carson Beck. And
right.
Yeah, and he's had a little bit of playing time.
I think that's what they're hoping for, is that sticks out pretty quickly.
Well, I also think they're just hoping, much like in Jacksonville here with Trevor, they're just
Bobo
hoping
doesn't screw it up.
Right, well, they're hoping that Bobo can elevate everything else around the quarterback so he's not putting too much on the quarterback's plate, much like occurred here in Jacksonville and up in Athens.
She's talking about.
Yes, I am referring to Mike Bobo putting too much on Carson Beck's plate last year.
Yeah, and of course the most fascinating will be Tennessee's Joey Aguilar.
Yeah.
If he wins that job, what does this season look like for him after the craziness that existed between when he originally was leaving App State, heading out west, and then let's change direction and go back out east because Nico Iamaleava went to UCLA. What if Josh Heupel can make Aguilar successful this season and have that offense rolling like he always does, he might be the best coach in the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
And apologies to Kirby Smart, who has national championships. I don't mean that. I mean as far as like offensive play calling type of mind.
Well, no, it would be the same reason that, and we're going to be doing this on Duval Rundown tomorrow. We're going to be doing our top coaches and schemes, top 10 that the Jaguars will face. And so many national programs right now are doing, Mina Kimes did it, NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal did it. They're top 10 coaches in the league right now. And I think the argument can be made for the SEC, much like in the NFL, of you want a Matt LaFleur or a Kyle Shanahan because they've proven that they can adapt to the quarterback. But on the other side of that, to the Kirby Smart point, Lauren, you have Mike Tomlin, who all he does is win or have a record over 500, even if he can't figure out the quarterback situation, adapting to the personnel, but has adapted to the personnel on the defensive side of the ball, much like Kirby Smart has been able to do.
Andy Reid better be number one on everyone's list.
No, I think pretty much universally.
I wonder how high Sirianni is on people's list, because I feel like that's just a name who, that another guy when we talk about was on a hot seat and then wins a Super Bowl, but he's also gotten them there several times, and that's hard enough to do, let alone win one.
And that's winning versus, to Lauren's point with Heupel, what has Josh Heupel actually won at Tennessee? However, you can make the argument, recreated the career of Hendon Hooker, recreated the career of Joe Milton, and now has an opportunity to do it again with a different quarterback because the homegrown quarterback did not work out.
What's wild is there are only 3 coaches, active coaches in all of college football that have won the national championship. And one just won it. You have Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney, and Ryan Day. That's it.
Wild.
That's the list. Unless Ed Orgeron wants to get back into college football.
Hey, listen, if you missed his interview with the boys at primetime, it's on the 1010XL main YouTube channel, folks. It's popping off. The boys in the Bayou, they found it, and they can't get them enough of Coach O. They want him back. They want him back.
All right, we'll get it to our highlights on the other side. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Giving Jaguars fans what you need to stay on top of your team every day.
Ball!
1010XL, home of the Jaguars.
Are you 18 years or older, just got married, just got divorced, or have children? Listen up. Have you done your last will and estate planning? You have questions? Call Matt Hinson with the Hinson Law Firm. Reach him at 527-1700. Office is Jacksonville, Florida. And don't let the state decide your fate.
Mia here for Closets by Design. It's been a few months since they built my custom closet. You've heard how much I love it. My family's obsessed. Of course, everyone here at 1010 is always asking about it. So it's summer here. Why not finally create that custom garage workspace you want? Tool storage, workbenches, flooring. Closets by Design creates custom solutions for every space, lifestyle, and budget, so that includes you guys too. Call to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744. Receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off, or you could visit closetsbydesign.com.
It's Work Zone Awareness Week, Florida. Every year, lives are lost in work zones because of speeding and distractions. When you see orange cones, remember, slow down, follow the signs, and stay focused. Workers are counting on you to get home safely, and so are their families. Let's work together to prevent crashes and save lives. A safety reminder from the Florida Department of Transportation. Slow your roll. Safety's the goal.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
You don't think this would be a good moment to text somebody?
There's never a bad moment to share your opinion on the 1010XL text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Share your opinion
As soon as possible.
at 641-1010.
Hey, Hicken here. So much of what makes us a family takes place in our homes. That's where Zero Res comes in. I love Zero Res, and this month get Zero Resified from Jacksonville's #1 carpet and air duct cleaner with May Mayhem. A 3-room special starting at $149, plus the 4th room is free. You owe it to yourself and your family to breathe healthy, happy, and clean. Call Zero Res 28757 or go online at ZeroResJacksonville.com and say you want the Hicken special. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Want a simple way to boost your company's image without a big renovation? A fresh paint job in your brand's colors can increase recognition up to 80%. At Performance Painting, we help companies stand out with clean, on-brand finishes that impress clients and energize employees. From color consultations to low-odor coatings that won't disrupt operations, we've got you covered. Visit performance-painting.com to schedule a friendly estimate. Performance Painting. Prepare, protect, preserve.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Hicken here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
Home of the Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
What does the logo on the Pittsburgh Steelers helmet signify? The answer next.
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
The logo on the Steelers helmet represents the steel industry. It's the only NFL team with the logo on just one side.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
North Florida is growing with lots of new families joining our community. If you're one of them making the move here, your next move should be a call to American Electrical to create the best home automation system, enhancing your living experience. There are many ways your life can be made easier through smart home technology, voice-activated systems, automated lighting, total house temperature control. With American Electrical, they've got everything you need to automate your home and make it your true oasis. Check out American-Electrical.com. Powered by professionalism and raising the excellence bar.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Jacksonville, Hickens calling it. Checkmate Coatings, my MVP. Tough, slick floors that dominate any space.
Checkmate Coatings. Your floor's missing piece.
I'm Max Fink with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist local sports update, brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Septic, Air, and Plumbing. The defending national champion Florida Gators men's basketball team has been receiving some phenomenal news over the last 24 hours. Last night, Gators center Ruben Chinyelu announced he would be withdrawing his name from the NBA draft to come back to Gainesville and return to Florida for his junior season. The 6'10 big man started all 40 games for the Gators last season as he averaged 6 points and 6.6 rebounds per game. A big piece returns to the Gators' championship defense. Coach Todd Golden struck again in the portal, landing Arkansas 5-star transfer guard Boogie Fland to join Princeton transfer Xavion Lee in the backcourt. Fland was a top 10 player in the portal and averaged 13.5 points and 5.1 assists in his freshman season at Arkansas. It's 91 degrees at 12:59. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Dommy O'Brien, RJ Saunders. I'm Lauren Brooks with you on this fine Tuesday afternoon. Just a cool, calm temperature in the 90s in May. No big deal.
Hey, I saw a cold front coming in, a low of 64 on Saturday. At least that's what I saw. So
yeah, I see lows in the upper 60s Friday and Saturday, but
We'll
still
take
highs
that.
in the 90s.
Well, we get a little breath later in the day.
I mean, basically this time of year.
Meanwhile,
everybody
it's
knows.
48 degrees up north right now.
Wow. Yeah, either stay in the air conditioning or find a body of water, a pool, something like that. That's how you beat the heat. And of course, stay hydrated. All right, let's get to this week's Heels highlights.
Now, Heels highlights. Unbelievable! On 1010XL.
Southeast Louisiana shocks number 10 LSU with walk-off finish in softball regionals.
Southeastern trying to do the improbable, the impossible. And that is win 2 games in a row against a nationally seeded LSU team. Morris right side, play at the plate, not in time! Southeastern walks off LSU, and the Lady Lions will play for a regional title.
Psych, it's not a Caitlin Clark highlight. Cody Bellinger earns his pinstripes in the Subway Series.
Swings and sends one to right. That sends Soto back. He is on the track. He reaches. It's a grand slam.
Journalism delivers epic stretch run to win the 150th Preakness Stakes.
Journalism shifted in. Here's Sandman on the outside trying to run on. Journalism has recovered. Journalism has recovered and is coming. Journalism a sensational run despite traffic. Gosger was second, then Sandman third, and goal-oriented fourth.
Meet the next generational center, fielder Pete Crow Armstrong.
3-2. That is hammered down the line. If it's fair, it's trouble. That one is gone. Pete Crow Armstrong, 3-run blast. And just like that, Cubs lead it. PCA as it does it homers.
Put your trust in me. Coast to coast from JFK to Tuscany.
So we'll start with the Preakness. I think it's suffice to say, we can say that's RJ's highlight because his good friend Andy B. and Coen from high school, who now works for FanDuel, is an expert horse knowledge. How would you call that?
Equestrian.
Yeah,
horse racing analyst.
Yeah, horse racing analyst and an expert in that field. She joined us last week, Taylor. And she went
Nailed
on
it.
and on about how good journalism looked. And she thought journalism, of course, might win the Derby.
Mm-hmm.
And that horse was just raring to go. And so she basically called that journalism was going to win the Preakness.
Love it.
And when you're watching it live, you're like, oh, dang. Like, journalism tried. Andy, you had good intel. Sorry, just not this time because he was so far back. And then once again, very similar to the Derby, just outran those other horses down the last stretch. And journalism won. And I love the call.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I love hearing because obviously I'm not watching horse racing on a normal basis, but after we had the Derby and I heard all of Mia's talking about the rain and there's horses that run well in the rain and I'm like, I did not know it was this intricate. So now hearing people like that who can predict it, it's wild, but I guess it makes sense because there's people like that in every single sport. I'm sure there's people that listen to us talk and be like, what are they talking about? But that it is fascinating and the horse racing is very interesting to watch. It's very quick. So you have to you have your 30 seconds or whatever it is that you really have to pay attention, and that's it. So it's kind of nice if you want the rest of your day.
Yeah, it's only like 2.5 minutes or so. And yeah, so shout out to journalism.
That's awesome. I'm glad she guessed that.
Yeah, and who was it that tweeted out, like, she got married over the weekend?
Nicole Auerbach.
And
Yeah.
she was like, I'm just so glad to see journalism is alive and well, like, winning on my wedding
Well,
day.
she went up to Mike Golick Jr. and like they embraced at the wedding, and she goes, "Of course, journalism won on my birthday," which is pretty iconic.
Yes. All right. When it comes to baseball, yeah, and congrats on getting married, Nicole. Cody,
by the way.
Cody, yeah, throw that as an aside. Cody Bellinger, grand slam, and Pete Crow Armstrong 3-run home run. Y'all's baseball teams are playing well.
Well, you're burying the lead, Lauren. I threw you all for a curveball because I texted in the group chat this morning. I was like, why do I need to send RJ a highlight? We all know what I'm going to predict. No, we didn't. I did not
tricked
play.
us.
No, Caitlin Clark. We're going to celebrate because I don't know how long it's going to last. The New York Yankees actually playing some good baseball these days, and someone besides Aaron Judge coming up in the clutch in a tie game, a grand salami. Here's trivia time. The two active players in the major leagues with the most grand slams in their career.
I have no idea.
Guessing?
I know
Guessing.
Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani lead all of Major League Baseball with home runs in general, but I don't know who has the most grand
know where to
slams in
start
their
with
life.
grand slams.
Grand slams in a career, active leaders right now. Cody Bellinger and Aaron Judge, who had struck out previous to Cody Bellinger hitting the go-ahead shot against the Mets on Sunday. Sorry, Dan Hicken.
Wow. I honestly would not have guessed Belly, but that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, and Aaron Judge, that makes sense based off of where he
Judge,
is in the lineup.
I feel like any stat, you're like, hey,
Yeah.
what's the most to do this?
Yeah.
Anything to do with home runs, Aaron Judge is probably involved in that.
And Shohei Ohtani, the longer he's in the league, I feel like could climb up that, especially depending on the situations he's in. Hit his 17th home run last night, leads Major League Baseball. And this is a guy that next season, I'm assuming, will pitch again and will get the
add even more value to what he does.
Absolutely, the two-way player that he is. And then when it comes to the softball highlight, I'm not an anti-LSU person by any means, but I just thought it was badass that Southeastern Louisiana goes to number 10 LSU. And certainly a powerhouse when it comes to SEC softball would be the Oklahomas of the world, the Texases of the world. But LSU is also really good. And they go in there, and so they won on Friday. They beat LSU 4-3. So then they lost to Nebraska. But then Saturday night, you have the rematch of these two teams. And again, it's in Baton Rouge. Saturday night, they won 8-7. But if you didn't watch the game, what was so cool is it was a tie ball game, 6-6 in the bottom of the sixth. Top of the seventh, LSU scores to make it 7-6. And then, 7-7 at that point in time. Either way, point of the story, they got it to Southeastern Louisiana, walks it off and made it 8-7. And I mean, obviously LSU is crushed, but this Lady Lions team is like coming from nowhere. Nobody's ever heard of them.
I love it.
And they were able to win. The only problem is that on Sunday they lost to Nebraska 8-0, and so they didn't win the regional.
Oh no.
So they didn't advance to the national.
It's gonna be like Team USA hockey. No one remembers that they didn't win gold medal in the 1980 Olympics. They beat the Soviets. That's all we care about. So that's all we care about. Southeastern Louisiana. You beat LSU.
Right.
Hang the banner.
I know.
No one needs to talk about Nebraska.
Exactly.
I will say, because mine was Pete Crow Armstrong, obviously, but when we're talking about Aaron Judge, so clearly Aaron Judge is the best player in baseball right now. Like when it comes to WAR, those wins above replacement, he has a 3.7 right now, number one. But Pete Crow Armstrong is tied second most valuable player in baseball right now with Tatis, and that's just how good. But look at these numbers compared to, so this was last year in 122 games, PCA had 10 home runs, 13 stolen bases, 47 RBIs, and a 2.7 more. Already in 47 games this year, he has 12 home runs, 11 stolen bases, 38 RBIs, and a 3.0 WAR.
Whew.
It's insane. Like, he's already surpassed all of his numbers from last year in 47 games compared to 122. He's just playing out of his mind, and it's so much fun to watch. I was listening to Frank yesterday. Poor Frank.
Yeah.
Because the Pirates are just...
We tried watching him last night against the Reds. Shout out to Mitch Keller, the Cedar Rapids native. And,
He was like...
It's a comedy of errors.
Oh, my gosh. He said the stat where they've had 24 straight games where they haven't scored more than 4 runs. And I was talking to Frank today, and I was like... That is an insane, like out of baseball, like in baseball history. Baseball's been around for a very long time, and you're about to set the record of not being able to score more than 4 runs. That sounds insane. But the Cubs have 40 innings this year where they've scored 3 or more runs in 1 inning.
Yeah, I don't think that people expected the Cubs offense to be as good as it is.
Yeah.
It's talking about Pirates baseball.
Even though they lost to the Marlins last night.
So I told you to watch out for the Marlins. They're sneaky. Paul
freaking walk-off.
We want the Marlins to be sneaky because that bodes well for the local jumbo shrimp, too.
That's true. Paul Skeens on Sunday threw pretty much a complete game, and they lost 1-0 to the Phillies.
That's what, Frank was going on about that.
Right. That's
somebody's
so
about.
painful.
Skeens is going to be gone soon.
I mean, I hope not for their sake because you waited so long to get a guy like him, and
somebody's about to give them like 7 million prospects, and they're going to be like, "Yeah, sure, we'll take all of these guys," and somebody's going to do it.
When are they going to sell the team, though? I mean, at that point in time,
why would you? But again, why would you sell a team when even if you're cheap owners, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, like it's always making you money.
If Bud Selig was still the commissioner, he would make them sell the team. I want to believe that. I know it's not true, but I want to believe that in my heart of hearts because it's
sad.
Sad.
One thing that annoys me so much watching whether it's softball or baseball, the overthrows. Like the player gets excited in the moment and thinks they're about to make this great play, and whether it's like the catcher throwing to first or or wherever it is in the
it's like flies over the head,
and then you end up just having way more damage done because you didn't just take that 1 second and then get the ball there. And it's easy for me to say like I'm not out there competing in 95-degree weather in these regionals and of course this weekend the super regionals, but still like I just gather your breath and then throw the ball. When you sail it over their heads, and Trevor also don't do that either, but
familiar with the sails sometimes.
Yeah, unfortunately. All right, on the other side, I'll give you the Terminix Pest of the Day. I'll also let you hear from Liam Coen, Trevor Lawrence, Grant Udinsky, at least a cut from each of them. You are listening to Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
You know what the secret of life is? One thing. Just one thing.
And what's that?
1010XL.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Lauren Brooks here for my friends at Terminix. Did you know that mosquito bites could lead to heartworm for your dog or cat? You don't want that. When mosquitoes show up, pet parents like me want mosquitoes gone. Terminix takes mosquitoes down fast, just like they did at our house for our pup. Terminix knows that pets are a part of the family, and they do what it takes to help protect them. When mosquitoes show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a mosquito problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's TERMINIX.com.
My son had a meniscus surgery a couple years ago. When it's smooth as silk, Dr. Kevin Murphy did it. Was playing tennis in 2 weeks. This is Patrick Malarkey, and I highly recommend
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
David Garrard here. I've had the PRP treatment from Southeast Orthopedic Specialists, and my knees are really doing well. Platelet-rich plasma treatment may be the answer for whatever is hurting you.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Guys, your lawn's the home field. Now you can champion your St. Augustine grass. TopDressing.com just hit Jacksonville with a game-changing patented process. Aerate and transform your turf into a fairway-worthy masterpiece. Less water, shorter cuts, and the envy of every neighbor. No one else delivers a perfect 10 lawn like this. Visit TopDressing.com and dominate your block with the same process that golf courses use. Top dress your lawn like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
Hey there, Jacksonville. With scorching temperatures just around the corner, it's crucial to ensure your AC is blowing nice and cool. Duck Air Conditioning is here to keep you comfortable all summer long. But don't wait until the heat gets here. Our service techs are ready right now to handle any cooling issues you may have at your home or business. Call Duck AC today at 904-862-6769 to schedule. That's 904-862-6769. Duck Air Conditioning. Online at duckduckac.com.
The best teal-colored coverage includes Mia's Quick Hits.
Get the latest news from inside the building and around the league. I'm Mia O'Brien, 1010XL's NFL Insider.
Driven by Arlington Toyota. Available on the video and social channels of 1010XL.
Rick Ballou new for Coen Dental. That's right, Carlson Dental is now Coen Dental. Dr. Lee has been practicing there for 9 years, has purchased the company. The Coen Dental team still has the same great dentists and staff. And remember, if you get nervous visiting a dentist, don't. There's never a problem at Coen Dental. With light sedation for cleaning, then deep sedation for all your restorative needs. Coen Dental, 2 locations in Jacksonville.
Jumbo Shrimp Baseball is home this week at the newly renovated 5-Star Ballpark. The Jumbo Shrimp take on the AAA St. Louis Cardinals. Her in the park tonight, followed by Wear It Home Wednesday t-shirt giveaway, presented by Renewal by Anderson and Better Health. Baseball all weekend. Tickets start at just $5. JackShrimp.com for tickets. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable, family fun.
Hello, this is Father Nicholas Lowe, and I want to talk to you about not being afraid of the crosses of life. Life can be difficult. Maybe today you're carrying a cross of worry or stress. Let me encourage you to remember that when Christ got on the big cross at Golgotha, he destroyed all the little crosses that we face in our life. He set us free from fear, worry, and anxiety. Our job is not to be carried by the cross, but to be carried by our faith.
For more inspiration, log on to stjohnthedivine.com.
Hacker here, and let's talk sincerity. You know, there's a big difference between someone tossing you a casual, hey, how you doing, and genuinely asking, no, really, how are you doing? At Awaken 180, I felt that sincerity every single week while dropping 122 pounds, and I still feel it every month in free maintenance for life. Sure, seeing that number plunge on the scale was incredible, but what truly pushed me across the goal line? My amazing Awaken 180 coaches. They coached me up like I was prepping for draft day, always in my corner, sincerely invested in my success, and check this out. I'm going on a cruise in a couple of weeks, complete with formal night. Now, normally, cameras and I have a strained relationship. I hated taking pictures, but thanks to Awaken 180, the camera and I have made peace. No more ducking photos. Want results you can actually keep? Do what we all did and call 844-346-1800 or book online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Gun charges, drug charges. I'm attorney Malcolm Anthony, and I specialize in handling these types of felony cases. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me at 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Mia O'Brien, Taylor Dahl, RJ Saunders, and Lauren Brooks with you. Got some Jaguars OTA to get into, but first, today's Terminix Pest of the Day is always brought to you by our friends at Terminix. You can find them online at Terminix.com, TERMINIX.com. Everbank Stadium, VyStar Ballpark, VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. They do the pest control for all of those venues, your favorite event venues around town. They also take care of the pests and termites at our house, as well as spraying for mosquitoes to make sure that those nasty things aren't around us and or Keaton, the dog. All right. The pest of the day today is going to be people who just automatically assume that the racist stuff is going on in the WNBA. We talked about it ad nauseum yesterday, so we don't have to get fully into it, but you just because someone says, and I believe Angel Reese, that she heard things that were potentially racist going on, but you can't assume that that actually happened until more evidence is coming out and until they do the investigation. I would like to believe that people are going to boo the athletes that they don't like. They're going to cheer for the athletes they like, and they're not going to throw racist stuff at them. That's what I would like to believe. And until proven otherwise, I would like to believe that those fans, the Fever fans, were not doing anything that was out of the ordinary. But the investigation is undergoing, and so certainly more information will come out. But again, my naive self would like to believe that you boo the athletes you don't like and you cheer the athletes you like and you leave it at that.
Yeah, I hate in general when, and like we said, we don't know this situation exactly what was said, what wasn't said yet. We will find out soon because there's conflicting reports. We were just talking about with Max about it on break. But I do think that in general, I'm one of those people that I don't think insults need to be thrown into anytime. Like if you can't make a sports argument without insulting the other person, then that sounds like a you problem. It sounds like you don't know enough about the situation to actually make a valid argument. And that comes to things like this too. Like there's ways to heckle people that are fun and goofy and like it makes people laugh a little bit. If it's race involved, if it's sexism involved, if it's homophobic involved, like anything like that, it's unnecessary. It doesn't need to get to that level. And I feel like we see it a lot on Twitter when people come at us for certain things. And rather than just being like, I don't agree with you because of this, it has to turn into an insult. And I just feel like that's like the lowest possible way that you can retaliate to somebody, because to me, that just means you don't have a valid argument to make anything make sense.
Well said.
My sisters in Christ, I have explored / now learned in a year plus of actively following the WNBA, because I followed the WNBA previous to Caitlin Clark going to the W. Obviously, Megan Gustafson, long list of Iowa players who I covered, go to the W, followed the W a little bit when I was a kid. But I am here to tell you, now having a women's basketball podcast on the side, that W social media is unlike any ether of the internet that I have ever been in before. I don't want to call it a vacuum. That may sound disrespectful, but it is. They operate in their own little island, not recognizing that if you go to any, whether it be men or women's other professional sports and the discourse surrounding it, if you go to those conversations in other corners of the internet, they're not having these issues. So why does it have to be dissected and analyzed to the nth degree? I appreciate that the WNBA appreciates diversity. It wants to amplify our differences. It wants to have conversations about coming from different socioeconomic backgrounds, different sexual backgrounds. I appreciate all that. But not everything needs to be microanalyzed to the degree in which many who have been in that space for way longer than I have continued to have those overanalyzations, in my estimation, and conversations for years and years. And so now, as so many of us from the quote-unquote mainstream come to the W, we are shocked to find that this has actually been going on for quite some time, albeit perhaps not in the national conversation like it is now.
Well, and that's the difference, is once the sport becomes more popular, once you have players that are in the limelight, once you have players that are more recognizable, then it becomes a bigger conversation. And that's just what it is. And I'm sure it's sport-wide. It's not just the WNBA. If somebody's getting yelled at, a practice squad player is getting yelled at somewhere, you're probably not going to hear about it as much if Patrick Mahomes got yelled at on the football field, certain things. I know for a fact certain situations with Jason Hayward got a lot of things screamed at him when he switched to the Cubs, and it was a big deal. And it was also a big name player, so it got a lot of attention. And there's probably players that don't get all of that attention because they're in single A and it's not getting talked about that much. So it's unfortunate that it's that way, but Angel Reese right now and Caitlin Clark are the highlight of a lot of things being talked about in the world of sports right now. We're also in May 20th, and maybe this may be a little bit different if it was in October, but I do think that there's a problem with the people who act that way, and I do think that when it comes to, I don't know what a solution would be, because it's hard to, you ban the people if you find out they said it, but it's not ever going to stop. There's those people out there that unfortunately are just not nice and negative and don't know how to act properly in public.
I think you should get a lifetime ban. If you say something like that, lifetime ban.
And they have done that, by the way.
Definitely.
If you, in the W, in the NBA, in the NFL, baseball, like that does happen. But it doesn't have to happen every single game. Like this cannot turn into this like witch hunt of we need to find every single person. Yes, if they are outwardly being vocal, if they are directing it towards a player, yes, you need to ensure you have security measures in place to eliminate those people from the arena. But this idea that I heard about this morning on the Athletic Women's Basketball show, no off season, that the W is going to come up with AI that's going to be listening in, and maybe that's what Max was alluding to during the break.
I think so.
That they have this AI technology where they are literally listening to the entire crowd and trying to essentially screen it for racist commentary. I mean, I'm fascinated
how that actually will work.
Can we focus about the game itself, which, oh, by the way, it just came out from ESPN PR, the most viewed WNBA game on ESPN, not ABC. A lot of the finals games have been on ABC, on terrestrial and on linear. But the most viewed WNBA game ever on ESPN was the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky on Saturday at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think it should be a witch hunt if people are saying something loud enough that a player can hear it. Because obviously there's thousands of people in the arena. You're not able to pick up every conversation everyone's having in there. But if a player can actually hear it, if it comes out that yes, someone was saying or lots of people were saying something, then that's where I do.
But
think
we also
they have
wouldn't
to
know
handle
about it right now. Like it's fascinating to me. Like there was, if you remember, I believe it was in the playoff series against the Sun with the Fever. There was one fan who was making racist comments towards some of the Sun players, and it was actually Caitlin Clark who identified it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And she alerted the officials and said, hey, that guy in row 2 is yelling things.
So-and-so,
Like, go get him.
Yeah.
And they did. Like, but now that we're like, we got to like listen into what every single person is saying.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to go that far, but I do think that you have to, if a player is saying, hey, I'm hearing these things, you have to do your due diligence and figure out, at least look at it, especially in the spotlight that they are in right now.
I totally agree. All right, let's get to the Jaguars OTA. Some people freaking out a little bit yesterday about the offense not performing so well, the defense performing a little bit better. So Liam Coen was asked if he likes where Trevor and the offense are.
No, not good. We're not good. We're trying to get better, right? I mean, we're not even close. We're working towards, playing in September, obviously. And so at this point, it is strictly how much can we actually learn from every day. We're not evaluating, maybe some of the things that you would normally evaluate in a game, right? Or in the season. It's like, how many mental errors did we have? How much can we continue to be disciplined with our communication, formations, alignment, assignment? Are we going to catch every ball and throw every ball out here in the first day of phase 3? I would assume not. But more in terms of the operation, the communication, are we understanding what we're trying to get accomplished out of the calls? It's a learning phase, not necessarily a competitive phase. And do you want to be cleaner? Absolutely. Do you want it to look perfect? Yes, we all do. That's just not the reality at this phase, this time in this phase.
How many mental errors yesterday? That's what they'll go back and watch the film. I'm sure they already have. And the ones certainly that media saw with the interceptions, the fumble, things like that. But also, when did Trevor miss guys? When did the routes not get run as crisply? They'll figure all that stuff out.
Thank goodness Liam Coen. Like just the
let off with that.
But also just finally feeling like we're getting honesty from a coach. I felt like Doug just lied to us and gaslit us for years. But I do feel like Liam comes out. He's like, no. Could you imagine if he came out and was like, they were okay. It's just the beginning. No, he said it doesn't look good. And there's a lot of things that still need to be fixed. And I appreciate the honesty of that side of it because he's not in panic mode. He's not like, oh, gosh, this looks like a disaster. But he's saying there's obvious miscommunication errors. There's things that they have to fix. But that's where you are supposed to be. You're in phase 3 of the offseason. That's very early on. There's a lot of time left. There's a lot of newness going on. And so I respect that he comes out and says, no, it doesn't look good. But don't worry. This is where we kind of probably should be at this point in time.
Right, because the head coach, remember, can also send messages to the team through the media. So if he was really unhappy,
like Kirby, like, these guys are fat and slow.
Right, and I don't think they think about this group. They don't think that at all. I mean, they complimented Travis Hunter being able to run forever. All right, one more from Liam Coen. On the opposite side of things, how did the defense look?
They did some really good things today. I thought just from a communication standpoint, punching the ball out, doing it in the right way, though, right? We had a couple guys just trying to be intentional about getting the ball out and getting their hands on the football, something that we're, actively trying to be intentional about this whole offseason. And I thought the defensive staff's done a great job of communicating that in the meeting settings, bringing it out to the practice field. I thought that they did a nice job kind of setting the line of scrimmage, playing with length on the D-line, and the ball was out. I mean, the ball was on the ground too many times for us offensively, but hey, on the flip side of it, that's the first time as a head coach you actually kind of have to be very neutral in those moments where I'm kind of ticked off that the ball is on the ground from an offensive standpoint. But ultimately, man, defense did a nice job of getting the ball out today for us.
And that's how you need to just take a second.
You want to see wins on both sides. That's what you have to want to see as the head coach.
I just want to know, where did all of this panic from the fan base and some of these like novels I'm seeing in Facebook groups about these individuals who are Jaguars fans allegedly who have it out for Travis Hunter after he's run like 6 routes on air?
I haven't seen the Jaguars fans doing it. I've seen more of those weird national
Oh, there's Jaguars
Twitter.
Reddit people going crazy.
Like, where is this coming from? Like, are you just bored?
Yeah,
Well, because some of those, like the ML football types.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
they
I'm not
post
talking about
that stuff all
the
the time.
aggregators. I'm not talking about the aggregators. I'm talking about like actual people like writing, like even commenting on some of our content on 1010XL's social channels.
And Jags fan groups on Facebook.
Yes.
There's a lot of screenshots I've seen of those of Jags fans on like Jags Facebooks just going crazy about Travis Hunter already.
Like saying that
in
he's
a
not
negative
good.
way.
Yeah.
Not saying he's not good, but like we should have a concern here and blah, blah, blah. Did we overdraft him? Did we overspend already?
I would wait until
Yeah,
the
let's
season
be
starts to
real.
be able to answer some of those questions. Mia, have you been able to hear Anthony Campanelli's voice loud and clear on the practice field?
I was only at practice for a grand total of, well, I guess if you exclude the 2 minutes that I was in the bathroom yesterday, 7 minutes. So, no.
What about rookie minicamp?
I did not hear him at rookie minicamp. The defense was on the far end of the
We
field.
have to get those AI mics out there.
Yeah, sorry about that. I need to go get some AI mics
Just
on
because
me.
we've heard of his energy and
Very
we've seen it in
vocal,
the
yeah.
in the meeting rooms and things like that. I'm fascinated to see him on the field. All right, when it comes to the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence, we've heard that he's working on his footwork. What exactly is he working on with that?
Some fundamental stuff that I agree with that we've watched kind of throughout the offseason and said, hey, this is some stuff that, I can work on to make me better, more accurate, a little bit more on time and all this stuff, transfer my weight a little bit better. Then there's stuff that's just kind of system-based that's different, as far as the starting point of my stance, flipping that, which changes how you drop, So that was a big change, but that's more of the system and kind of what the system prefers, and I agree with a lot of that, or all that stuff, and I think it's helped me. But so it's a little bit of both, if that answers your question, and it's really specific as far as the concepts go with footwork and the details, and all that stuff is just kind of knowing and drilling my feet. So when I hear the call and I do it, I'm not thinking, all right, what's my drop? It's just you've done it so many times, you don't think about it.
I love Trevor catching himself. He's like, I agree with a lot of. I
I know
all
he
of
was
that
like,
stuff.
yeah, good
I'm all
catch,
in.
Trevor.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, fascinating to me, the system-based flipping the starting point of his stance. Look, we know that they wanted to drill in certain things to him, and he's obviously receptive about it. But those are really important things because you're only going to have a clean pocket for about, 2.5 seconds if you're lucky. And so exactly how your footwork goes according to what the scheme is asking of you, that's in those microseconds or milliseconds, I should say, those are really important to be able to get the ball off cleanly.
Yeah, a lot has been made about the quote from Trevor regarding the idea of, hey, this offense gives me opportunities to get out of situations. It's not as rigid. It's not, hey, this is what you're running. And it has an answer for everything. A lot's been made about that and just the flexibility. And so I'm curious to learn more as the offseason goes on.
Absolutely. We'll let you hear from Grant Udinsky on the other side. One segment to go here on Helmets and Heels on 1010X on 92.5 FM.
Living life on the edge of your seat.
Are you kidding me?
Your front row seat for play-by-play.
Break it free, they're not going to catch you.
1010XL.
It's May, and that means it's Founders Month here at Sonny's Barbecue. Every Wednesday, we're celebrating with $7 pork big deals served with a sidekick and a drink, or one of our pork and rib combos for just $11. It's our way of saying thanks for letting us be your local pitmasters. So stop in for great deals on the Q you crave. Founders Month specials at Sonny's Barbecue. Local pitmasters since '68.
Lauren Brooks here for Novus Glass of Jacksonville. We've all had to deal with a cracked windshield. Well, next time, go to a local company you can trust to get your windshield repaired for free at Novus Glass. And now, Novus Glass is the only place in Jacksonville where you can get turbo tint. Look, summer is here, so make sure you get turbo tint to keep your ride cool and comfortable. Turbo tint blocks up to 99% of harmful UV rays. So all of us down here in the Sunshine State need turbo tint to stay cool, and Novus Glass is the only place you can get it. You can book online today at orangepark.turbotint.com. That's orangepark.turbotint.com.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Cool Cats Heating and Cooling, the coolest cats in town, setting the standard in our hometown. Quality service, the best around. Cooling talking about your air. Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. The coolest cats in town.
This Memorial Day, Navy Mutual would like to salute Pittsburgh Pirates Hall of Famer Roberto Clemente. Beloved in the baseball world, it shouldn't be forgotten that Clemente was a private first class in the United States Marine Corps for almost 10 years of his baseball career.
Committed to the mission. At Navy Mutual, we're committed to providing high-quality life insurance to members of the military and their families. Because at Navy Mutual, our highest commitment is to you. Visit NavyMutual.org.
One thing that separates Beard's Diamonds from those other jewelry stores at the town center, no one's paid on commission.
Nobody at Beard's is on commission. That's more of your corporate stores that pay commission.
Beard's owner, John Lupo, says that means no pressure, no hidden agenda, no extra markups.
And you're getting a better deal. You're not paying the corporate commission. You're not paying the salesperson's commission. If they're paying their salespeople commission, you're starting off in the hole.
And that's why you feel like a number at most jewelry stores, because it's all about making the sale, but not at Beard's.
Because it's a corporate atmosphere and they want to sell you what they want to sell you. We're here to sell you what you want. Our salespeople can do whatever they want to make sure that the customer is happy.
So relax. At Beard's Diamonds, they have all the things you want, like quality education, selection, warranties, and none of the stuff you don't want, like pressure and tacked on commissions.
Nobody's making an extra 5 or 10% on Beard's customers.
Beard's Diamonds, the town center's only locally owned jeweler.
We sell better merchandise, better product for less money, guaranteed.
Discuss the beautiful game. The Coaches Show presented by Sporting Jacks. Cole Pepper, Sporting Jacks head of soccer Mark Warburton, and Sporting Jacks women's coach Stacey Baylor. Get an hour of soccer talk Tuesday evenings at 6 on 1010 a.m.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Joint replacement surgery is always a tough decision, but relief from chronic pain may be just around the corner. Dr. George Barry here, and there's a lot to consider to make sure you get the proper diagnosis and best path back to the range of motion and mobility you had. Age, lifestyle, and overall health all play a part. Let the team at Barry Orthopedics give you a full analysis to help you make the best decision. Log on to BarryOrthopedics.com or call the office to make an appointment. With offices across Jacksonville and ready to help you feel good again, we'll get you back on the road to recovery at Barry Orthopedics.
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. You've heard us talk about it. Window World, the #1 window replacement company in the USA, selling over 1 million windows each year for the past 8 years.
That's a lot of satisfied customers, and why J.D. Powers has awarded Window World Best in Customer Satisfaction 3 out of 4 years.
Window World stands behind their slogan, simply the best for less. With Window World, you get top quality windows at a price that leaves more of your money in your bank account, and you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement industry. When compared to our competition, there is none. See for yourself. Call the competition. Get quotes from them. But before you buy, get Window World's free estimate and compare the quality of the windows and the price.
You'll see.
And when your new Window World windows are installed and they're saving you money on your energy bills, if anything goes wrong with those windows, Window World and I will be there to make it right. That's my guarantee.
Call Window World today. Start saving money on your new windows and your energy bills, and take vacation with your savings. Window World, online at windowworldneflorida.com.
Window World, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors and siding.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
Well, we've successfully made it more than an hour and 37 minutes into the program without mentioning the name Jordan Hudson. So I would say that's a victory for us on this fine Tuesday, ladies. Not even going to go there. It's all good. Don't worry.
Almost everyone I respect on Twitter has shown that they've muted that name
saw it too.
permanently.
I saw Sycamore did.
Yep. Just make sure you spell it properly.
Right.
Jordon. It's
okay.
Coen. Yes.
that's what I thought, but then
Sycamore, no, he went back. He went
wrong.
back. He had to
Okay.
put both. He realized afterwards.
He's like, just to make sure, because people will spell it wrong and then it will still pop up.
It's kind of like when people misspell Caitlin Clark and they spell it with a Y, like same vibes. Same vibes where you got to mute the discourse. Speaking of Caitlin Clark, second straight day of talking WNBA. If you would like more about the actual on-court action, we will have a new women's basketball podcast coming soon. I'll be sure to tweet that link out because we're recording later tonight. Shout out to Kelsey Plum, proving that sometimes you can find greener pastures elsewhere. She dropped 37 points in her LA Sparks debut on Friday, and I think that's a good way to bring all of these various topics in sports we've discussed today, ladies, full circle, because that is once again the idea of a player who was part of a super team with the Las Vegas Aces, opting for greener pastures, much like our conversation regarding SEC quarterbacks and this idea of will the transfer quarterbacks have more success than the homegrown players, so much of it determined by the ecosystem around them.
Yeah, and it's funny because we were talking a little bit about the connection between, being able to develop within your system in college football and in the NFL. And in that same light, I think we have seen examples of both in the NFL. We've seen the Patrick Mahomes and the Jalen Hurts who have just kind of built their way up through the team that they're in now. And then we've seen Baker Mayfield's and Sam Darnold's have to go to the different environment to be able to succeed. And I think it is similar in college football. I think you'll be able to see examples of both. But I think the one thing that we've learned in college football, I think you'll be one thing that we've learned do something immediately and asking to be everything is the most beneficial way for college football and the NFL.
I think at life in general, like you need to get reps doing whatever it is you want to do before, like live reps, but before those actually matter, right? Like if it's hosting a radio show, like go host a podcast for a while. Not saying podcasts don't matter, but just saying it's not a live on air over the AM and FM, and get those reps built up before you then go out on the airwaves live and, be able to understand the different things that go into whether it's a sports talk radio show or something else completely different. By the way, bad news when it comes to baseball. Austin P just hit a 3-run home run, so it is 3-0 Austin P there in the A-Sun tournament. But it's still early in that ball game, so certainly UNF can come back. It's just the bottom of the third.
Let me throw one more at you since the NBA conference finals kick off tonight. T-Wolves and the Thunder at 8:30, and then, of course, the Knicks and the Pacers tomorrow.
Yeah, when I first saw the schedule, I did not understand why
Western Conference ahead of the Eastern Conference.
Right, because they played, like the Eastern Conference was the most recent to play. Like, I just
the Western Conference went to 7 games. The Eastern Conference went to 5 and 6 games, respectively. That's
Yeah.
probably why. And they already had this on the calendar, and quite frankly, because ESPN and Turner are paying a lot of money to air these games, and so they've already gotten it into the calendar. But let me throw this one at you. Jalen Brunson comes out of college, wins 2 national titles, is regarded as we've discussed ad nauseum on this program, comes out and is referred to as, well, he's a great college player, so he'll be a good backup point guard. And certainly he was a good backup point guard to Luka Doncic, so much so in Dallas that he earned a lucrative contract with the New York Knicks. And so many people questioned, wow, like, really? You're going to build your team around that guy? It's worked out pretty good for Thibodeau and company, has it not?
Yeah, some people just have it. Like I know we talked about the comparison with Walter Clayton Jr. And some people, certainly now in the mock drafts, you're starting to see with the NBA that he's moving up. Like I've seen him go as early as 13th to the Hawks.
Yep.
Like that guy to me has it. And that's just not just because I'm a Gators fan. It's because when you watch basketball, he's a clutch basketball player. And so I feel like he's a guy that's going to make his team successful, or at least he's going to be successful.
And guess what? Walter Clayton Jr., a transfer.
Sure.
Jalen Brunson, given that he signed with the Knicks, Taylor, you could regard him as a quote-unquote transfer at the professional level.
Yeah, and I think that it's a conversation, RJ, you and I have had actually quite a bit. And when you go back and you look at previous drafts, RJ and I have sat in my office and looked at previous drafts and looked at the guys that were coming out of college that people expected to be these elite players. And then in those same drafts, somebody that wasn't talked about very much. And then all of a sudden, they're some of the best players in the NBA. And so, RJ, like, how soon for you when these guys get into the NBA, are you like, okay, this is going to be a player we're watching for a while, to where maybe you think there's a little bit of concern of that transfer to the next level?
I mean, for me, and I mean, I've talked about it probably with everybody in the office who has a listening ear when it comes to basketball. I mean, player comparisons, I think really hurt a lot of guys, just due to the fact that when you do those comparisons, I think there's an expectation that comes with those comparisons. So when you watch guys like Julius Randle, the comparisons that they made for him, I forget the individual in particular, but I always remember a guy like Markelle Fultz. And listening to the Bill Simmons podcast, and he's saying, oh, you know, a comparison that a lot of guys are making to him is Steve Francis. And I'm not saying that he was supposed to come out of college, out of Washington, and become Steve Francis, but you're saying this guy's at least a multiple-time All-Star. And when that doesn't happen, I think that's when you have the buzz comments come out, and that you have the, you know, well, he wasn't what we expected coming out, instead of just straight up pulling for a guy such as Markelle Fultz. So, I think when you see a lot of these guys in the league, and when you have like a particular draft, I think it's all these guys are projects, every last one of them, because not many of them are staying in 2, 3, 4 years in the league and developing. So you just have to understand that now, because of that developmental piece being gone, and now with the transfer portal being what it is, and you're not seeing development there at one particular campus or one particular school, you do have to understand that it's going to take at least 3, 4, 5 years before you see kind of the return on investment to whichever team you're in love with when they get that player. So, I mean, you know, does a individual such as Walter Clayton Jr. come in the league, if he were to, just to use the example that Lauren is using, where, you know, he's being mocked to the Atlanta Hawks, are you now an Atlanta fan saying that he is going to replace, or dare I say, be better than what Trae Young has been since coming to the Atlanta Hawks? And if he's not, are you disappointed? Are you mad? Because at that point, I do believe that you're going to have to trade Trae Young if you draft a guy such as Walter Clayton Jr. So, yeah, when it comes to the next level, and it comes to the transfer portal, and it comes to guys being compared, you're going to have to give it a couple seasons before you see what becomes of them and what turns out, whether they're a role guy or the next star in the league. I mean, listen, you had a guy like Damian Lillard out of Weber State go 6th in the draft, and he went to a mid-major, and a lot of people were questioning that, but, you know, I would say a fairly great career, and he'll probably be a Hall of Famer. What happened the very next year? I think this happened with the New Orleans Pelicans. They decided to draft a guy out of a mid-major by the name of Elfrid Payton. Now, Elfrid Payton didn't become what Damian Lillard was. I don't know if anybody was asking him to be that, but, you know, hey, that's kind of what the NBA is. It's really a copycat league. So certainly going to be interesting to see. I know I went around the world and back in 80 days, but yeah, that's just how I think about it.
I think that's a good point when it comes to the time that these players are spending in college now, or the time that these players are spending at one stop. And we're seeing it in the NFL now too. There's always the outliers where we see these guys immediately come in and be able to be successful at the next level. But I do see, I think we have seen a lot more the last 5 to 10 years it taking a little bit more time. And I think some of that is because they're not spending that full 4 or 5 years in college. They're also not a lot of times spending it at one school. So when you are jumping from school to school, you're not just spending that time developing as a player. You're learning new playbooks every time you go. You're learning new teammates. You're learning new coaches. So you're not maybe as focused on just the developmental side of your game. And so you're having to do that in the beginning of your pro career now, rather than trying to kind of polish that in your NFL career, or your college career.
Who wins?
Oh, go Sam.
Timberwolves or Thunder?
Well, so here's a fun another trivia time for y'all.
We did so well the first time. Let's do it again.
Well, it's more so a saucy nug or a stat. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been to the postseason now 12 or 13 times, RJ. I forget what the number is, but point being, whether it's a dozen or a baker's dozen, they have either been one and done or lost in the Western Conference Finals. There is no in between. They have never lost in the divisional round. They have never made it to the NBA Finals. Certainly the Oklahoma City Thunder would be the ultimate proof of concept. It's crazy to think of the 4 teams remaining in the NBA playoffs. They are the team that has most recently been to an NBA Finals, although it was a completely different iteration circa 2012 with the likes of Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook. So I personally, I think it'll end up being the Thunder, but I'd love to see Ant-Man. And quite frankly, the storyline I'm rooting for, Timberwolves, Knicks, both teams won the trade.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I have no idea who's going to win, but it does feel like the fun storyline would be, I feel like Thunder Knicks would have almost more eyeballs than T-Wolves Knicks.
Yeah, so there's like an argument.
And not forgetting the Pacers, just saying
right,
they're not as sexy as the Knicks.
Yeah, I mean, like and the Pacers, I think obviously you'd have the Indiana basketball brand then,
right.
And that would be that would help the sport, and I think it would help ratings because, look, that's the birthplace, if you may, of basketball for many. I know it was born in Massachusetts, but I digress. Taylor, myself, and Trent were talking about this morning because I know some of our colleagues here at 1010 have made the point to me that it's lackluster of a Final Four. I couldn't disagree more because I think there's storylines galore, number one. Number two, again, you are all but assured you will have a team win the NBA Finals or the NBA championship either for the first time and at the very least make the NBA Finals for the first time in 13 plus years. If that doesn't get your sports fandom going, I'm not sure what will.
And that's why I argued that I'd get it for people who aren't NBA fans because I can name like 5 or 6 players that are left in the NBA playoffs right now. And so if you're not an NBA fan and you don't have those names you're a little bit more familiar with, maybe it steers you away from it being as intriguing. But I think that if you dove into it a little bit and saw some of the other storylines and the stats like that, it would maybe help a little bit.
All right, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. CoolCatsJacks.com.
The coolest cats in town.
Matt, your buddy Mark Long reported yesterday that Bird Sherrill, Florida's director of college personnel, and a guy Billy Napier has praised for helping find players in the transfer portal, has left the program to take a job with the New York Jets. I don't like the sound of that.
Why?
Because I think Billy needs help getting guys out of the transfer portal.
Well, if he's his transfer portal guy, I mean
he has time to.
Considering what Florida did in the transfer portal this year, I'm not sure I'd be too concerned about that, actually.
I see what you're saying, because Florida didn't do that well in the transfer.
Well, yeah, there was very little, if any, like impact players. Like last year, they had a couple at least. Badger was a strong pickup for them. Yeah, DK was okay, but they haven't really. You haven't seen them get like the elite guys that you're seeing LSU and Ole Miss and Alabama and Ohio State for that matter.
Yeah. The receiver, J. Michael Sturdivant, is probably the biggest name for this year.
Yeah, and he was just, honestly, just a guy at UCLA last year and the year before. He's got some speed. He's got some size. He's a lot like Chimray. But DK had a lot of more experience than he does. So we'll see. We'll see. Look, he keeps saying that his guys, his team, guys he recruited, guys he developed, that this is it. This is his team now. So let's see. Let's see if all these guys that they're paying money to, these guys that he recruited and he developed, let's see if it pans out, including, most important, the quarterback.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It starts with DJ.
Hey, Matt, let's ask you the question we were throwing around the horn. Do you think best quarterbacks in the SEC this year, will they be the homegrown guys, or will they be some of these transfers that are entering the Southeastern Conference or transferring within the conference?
Well, right now, if you look at it, Arch would be homegrown, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Nussmeier's
homegrown. Yeah. Lagway's homegrown.
Lenore Sellers.
Lenore Sellers homegrown. Gunnar Stockton's homegrown. If you're looking at like the big clubs, the teams that have the chance to do something unique and reach the playoff, they're all there. Even Ole Miss with Austin Simmons.
Also, Marcel Reed with A&M and Ty Simpson with Alabama, if he ends up winning the job.
I would say homegrown. That's your answer then.
There we go.
That's my answer.
All right.
Last and final.
Final answer. We've had a lot of trivia time on this show. Final answer from Matt Hayes, the homegrown SEC
We all worked it out there together, yeah.
We did a whole segment on it. Thanks for listening earlier. Just kidding. All right, what's coming up?
I was listening. I'm working at the same time.
That's how I feel every day. You're
what's
good.
Coming up?
We have our coach in today, and Dave Campo is going to go over some day one of OTAs yesterday, so he'll talk about that. We'll break it down with him. We'll also talk a little college football and the never-ending saga of Bill Belichick.
Oh, you are going to speak
yet
her
another
name.
twist.
You're going to speak her name. We went an hour and 37 minutes without saying it.
Well, apparently Jordan was the reason that they didn't do Hard Knocks, because she wanted a piece of Hard Knocks.
Well, because she wants her own reality show, too.
And by piece, I mean she actually wants like a piece of the show. Not with other...
Right.
I'm not even going down that road.
It's insane.
Right.
She also inserted herself into a Dunkin' Donuts
She also
commercial.
apparently, allegedly, has told one of her friends that they'll be married in December.
Yeah, I saw the engaged reports today pop up. So
we avoided it for an hour and 37 minutes.
Oh, we're not avoiding it. I can tell you that right now.
Lean all the way in, boys.
He's not making it through a whole season if they stay together.
Thanks, Matt.
I think you might be right.
One quick bit of Jaguars news before we get out of here. The team has formally added J.W. Jordan and Brian Zanders to their website with titles Senior Advisor to the GM/Personnel Strategist for both gentlemen.
All right, that'll do it for us today. For Mia O'Brien, for Taylor Dahl, for RJ Saunders, I'm Lauren Brooks. These heels are made for talking. We will talk to you tomorrow. But don't go anywhere. XL Primetime with Coach Campo is up next.